other pupils in my year. I remember it like it was yesterday. The strings teacher at the time played each instrument and demonstrated all of the cool things that they could do, such as playing really high notes, really low notes, and plucking the strings, etc. She played the violin, and immediately it was love at first listen. After school, I went home and I told my mother that I wanted to play the violin. Luckily, we had one in the family that wasn't being used, and it happened to be my size. To me, that was fate. Fast forward a year, and my mother could really tell I was quite serious about playing the violin. She thought it would be best if I took private lessons, so she contacted a local Suzuki violin teacher in Northern Virginia. Her name was Miss Choi. She changed my life because she made me realize that I wanted to pursue a career in music. I remember having my first lesson, and I played a folk song called Shepherd's Hay. She told me that I had a lot of potential and that she'd be happy to teach me. I started the Suzuki violin method, which, for those that are not familiar, is a music curriculum and teaching philosophy dating from the mid-20th century, created by Japanese violinist and pedagogue, Dr. Suzuki. The method aims to create an environment for learning music which parallels the linguistic environment of acquiring a native language. I did private lessons and group classes. I became quite obsessed with the Suzuki method and practicing. After school, I would come home and practice from 2 p.m. until it was dark outside, or until my mother told me it was time for dinner. I listened to a myriad of recordings by various composers, such as Bach, Beethoven, and Brahms. I started going through the Suzuki books rather quickly, and my teacher encouraged me to audition for youth orchestra programs in Northern Virginia. I became a member of 2 youth orchestra programs, such as the Student Symphonic Orchestra of Fairfax and the American Youth Orchestra Program. I also continued playing in my school's orchestra in addition to these programs, and got to perform in some very cool places, like the French Embassy in Washington, D.C., the State Department, also in Washington, D.C., the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, and Carnegie Hall. I also got to participate in an orchestral exchange program in Germany. I continued operating on this busy schedule of performing, practicing, and rehearsing, alongside studying for exams. When I was 17, I was given a violin by an anonymous donor. It is an 18th century replica of a violon. Jean-Baptiste Villon was a predominant French luthier in the 19th century who made over 3,000 instruments. And this is a violin that I still play on to this day. Before I knew it, I was approaching my final year of high school, and I wanted to apply for music schools and conservatories. After many auditions, long car journeys, and several flights, I decided to pursue a bachelor's in violin performance at the Hart School, the University of Hartford, in West Hartford, Connecticut. There, I studied with Anton Miller, who was like a father figure to me. He believed in me from day one and told me after my audition at the Hart School that he wanted me to study with him. I studied with Anton for 4 years, and during this time, I also continued performing, teaching, and I started playing chamber music. And as you can see, that's okay, photographed here are some friends and colleagues that I made at the Hart School, and this photo was taken after we played Tchaikovsky's Sextet. So this is one of my favorite pieces, chamber music pieces, and this was such a highlight for me. I had a wonderful time at the University of Hartford. I enjoyed the curriculum and realized that I wanted to pursue a postgraduate degree in music. But where? The University of Hartford has a scholarship. Well, they will send a graduating senior to the University of Oxford and fund their studies. I applied for the scholarship, not thinking that I would ever get it. And by the grace of God, I was awarded the scholarship. I started a master's in music performance at the University of Oxford in October 2019. At Oxford, I got very interested in research. I decided to write my master's dissertation on the lack of racial and ethnic diversity in symphony orchestras in the United States and United Kingdom. Alongside my dissertation, I wanted to play more music by underrepresented composers, female composers, and Black composers. I started to program my recitals to include such music, and some of the pieces you'll hear in a little bit are actually from those types of composers, which I think is amazing. I finished my master's in June 2021 and graduated with a distinction in November 2021. And then I thought, what now? In September 2021, I started a 2-year teaching fellowship at the Royal Academy of Music as a junior fellow for the First Strings Experience. And last month, I started a new job with the music consultancy agency in Shoreditch, London.